I told him we should donate to feminist movements. Instead, he came back with divorce papers. This might sound outrageous, but my life turned upside down just because I asked my husband to donate to feminist movements. In return, he has decided to drag me to court and divorce me. I have been crying all day because my husband did the unthinkable. Hello, my name is Eloise, and I am a 25-year-old feminist. I work as a fashion designer in a company I will not be referencing for privacy reasons. The name of my husband is Philip. Philly is 38 years old, and we have been married for about 2 years now. Philip has his own travel agency, and we have been living well. Philip and I met at a time when he was coming to our company. He was trying to surprise his then-girlfriend with a dress for her birthday, and we were to make a dress for her. From the moment I started showing him samples and trying to help him find a dress for his girlfriend, I just knew that I had an interest in him. I know that was stupid of me, but I just couldn't withstand it, even though I knew he had a girlfriend. While trying to get the dress to his girlfriend's taste, I made up several excuses to get to spend more time with him. I just knew that if the dress was done fast, I would literally not get any other chance to speak to him. And I didn't want that. My colleagues at work actually noticed everything too, and some even tried to talk to me about it. But I wasn't ready to listen to anyone. I wanted Philip at all costs, and I didn't care if his relationship got ruined in the process. What was more important for me was dating him, and so I ignored the consequences that might follow. Even though I tried my best to delay the process of making the dress as much as I couldn't keep the act up forever. When the dress was finally made, I knew I had to act fast, or else I was going to lose my chance with Philip. I'm someone that loves getting what she wants, so when I made the choice of wanting Philip, I didn't joke about it. I spoke to my closest friend about my predicament, and she told me the best thing to do was to make the girlfriend break up with him, since Philip seemed like a hard nut to crack. I was the one meant to deliver the dress to his girlfriend, so I used that as an opportunity. I told her Philip was flirting with me throughout the process of making the dress, and that we had a thing going on. I knew that would work because Philip had been spending more time at our store while we delayed the dress, so it was reasonable that his girlfriend had been suspecting something was up. His girlfriend refused to believe me at first and told me to leave, but I showed her a picture that left her with doubts. Days later, Philip came back to the store to ask if I had said anything to his girlfriend. I denied his accusation and said his girlfriend was rude to me and even tried to fight me. From his reaction, I could tell his girlfriend had broken up with him, so I was happy, but he left the store and didn't even try to get my contact information. I gave him a total of 6 months without disturbing him before I finally contacted him. After almost a year of trying to get his attention, we finally started dating. I'm a feminist, and I don't crave male validation. But then the problem I had with Philip was the fact that he had to be told what to do before he could do anything. I had to tell him that we have to go out as a couple. I had to tell him that we need to give each other gifts, that we need to be intentional about everything. But as time went on, he began to behave the way that he should, and I was happy we were making progress. I made sure that I didn't mess up the relationship because I knew how hard I worked for it. After we dated for nearly 2 years, we got to do a family introduction, and I met his family. I was excited because it felt like that was 2 in the right direction. A few weeks after that, I got a hint from Philip that he wanted to propose to me. I made sure we didn't argue or fight during that time because I needed the ring and wanted to marry him. Eventually, he proposed, and I accepted it. We were engaged for a while, and after 2 months, we began to talk about planning our wedding. It was all overwhelming for me, but I knew that I had to put things together in order for everything to work out. There were days that I was so exhausted that I had to just calm down and not overwork myself. I had to start asking people for help. Our families came to our rescue, and it helped a lot, and I was very glad Philip was contributing a great deal into the wedding, and he made sure that I didn't spend my own money for the wedding. The wedding came, and like that, it was over. We were able to come to an agreement on what to do and how we were going to be living. We moved into our home, and officially, our lives started then. I know everything sounds like it was such a smooth ride, right? Well, things started to go downhill from here. Living with Philip wasn't easy. It was as if I didn't know or I didn't date this person before. I had to adjust to a lot of things that were going on, his lifestyle and the way he does things. I felt like he didn't value me as much as he should. Of course, I noticed some traits I didn't like before marriage, like him not treating me like a princess and all, but I thought getting him locked in marriage would change his ways. On the bright side, Philip made sure that he provided for me, and sometimes it felt like he was the only one doing it. I usually tell him that I would like to assist him, but he would refuse me and say it was his responsibility as a man. I like that because honestly, who wouldn't like the freedom of not paying a dime? I loved the fact that I could spend my own money any way I liked, and so I went with his decisions. But going forward, something started to rub me off the wrong way. Like him making important decisions without involvement, even when it had to do with getting new furniture, car, or even his personal finance. He didn't care to involve me. I had to speak to my friend again, and she said that was against feminism. And I agreed. I'm a feminist, and I believe I should have equal rights to make decisions even in marriage. I don't see anything wrong with that. One of the things I later got to find out after the wedding was Philip's temperament. He would easily get angry just because I made a purchase from his card without his knowledge, or when I bought things for the house without letting him know about it. I get that it was his money I spent on all those things, but I felt like I wasn't wrong. I'm his wife and also deserve equal rights in decision-making. He didn't need to get angry because of that, or raise his voice and act superior. These issues were very serious, and we argued about it a lot. At some point, I started to notice that Philip despised my idea of feminism a lot. He always told me I was interpreting it the wrong way and doing too much, but I don't think that's the case. In the middle of the chaos, trying to get used to married life and trying to balance my work and a new family, more issues arose. I just got tired of cooking almost every day of my life. Philip came back late from work, but I still wanted him to be involved in the kitchen. I just got tired of stress after work, and even though I closed from work before Philip, it was just too difficult to keep it up. I expected Philip to be reasonable, but instead, he refused. I just felt like I wasn't being heard even though I was complaining. It was almost as if he felt like his job was more important. I mean, the fact that he provided for the house shouldn't make me feel any less. I worked too, and I spent hours at work, so I deserved to rest for some time. I even told him to hire a house help since it was getting difficult to work and take care of the house at the same time. But he refused and said we didn't need house help. At work, I was promoted, and the workload was too much for me. I expected Philip to be happy that I even got promoted at work. I thought my promotion would make him get back early from work and help me with things. Even with my promotion, I still closed from work at the same time, but I hated cooking and cleaning. I just hated the thought of doing chores as a whole. I felt like Philip was only interested in his own job, nothing more. He just wanted food to be ready before he arrived and claimed that I should be considerate, that he closed very late. At that point in my life, and in my marriage, I was so angry with everything that I decided to speak to my friend once again. I honestly felt embarrassed that I had to come talk to her every once in a while, and a part of me felt like I had too many problems. But I just needed to speak to someone and get the validation I needed, because it was evident to me that Philip wasn't understanding my point of view at all. Okay, I accept the fact that he paid everything from my personal bills to the house bills and that he worked late. I understand that part, but I work too. I work for myself, and I feel like as a woman, I shouldn't be subjected to kitchen duties all the time. Cooking is hard, and it's even harder for a working woman. Just like I predicted, my friend was able to see my point of view. I explained everything that had been going on in the house to her, and she told me that she stood firmly behind me and supported all my views. She even advised me not to back down and to keep my head high. According to her, I was fighting for something very important. I mean, Deep down, I didn't want my marriage with Philip to end at all. I just wanted him to start understanding my views as a feminist and how it's absolutely shameful to me to settle for anything less than equality. I literally suffered a lot just to get him to marry me in the first place. I knew he was not a feminist, but I thought I could change him. I mean, I wasn't even that much of a feminist before we got married. I wasn't deep into it as I was after marriage, so I expected him to change with me. I hated the kitchen work and the idea that I had to cook before he gets back from work. Like, who made the rules, and who said it had to be done that way? I know at least one person would get where I am coming from, because I am 100% sure that my views are accurate, and I did nothing wrong. Even my friend supported me, and she advised me on the next step to take. I'm not usually one to follow people blindly and do exactly what they suggested. But when my friend suggested that I went on a vacation and took a break from the house, so Philip, of course, saw how serious I was, I accepted it immediately. I told him I needed time to myself and wanted to clear my head. Philip told me he had nothing against that, and even offered to take leave off work so we could go together. But I refused. I told him I was fine on my own, and thankfully he didn't press me further. On my vacation, I met a group of women who I resonated with. They were also feminists, and it was my friend who connected me with them. They made me feel relatable, and it was the perfect validation. I love the fact that other women felt the same way I did. I was not the one to be easily convinced, but this group of women were very dedicated to feminism and equal rights as women. They were out to change the world, and I wanted to be part of it. I got their contact information so I could keep in touch. They had a foundation that wasn't far from my house back home, so I always made time to go there after work. As a result of this, I barely had time to take care of the house before Philip got back. I didn't cook or clean, and I didn't even have time to give our clothes to the dry cleaner like I usually did. I admit that at some point, our house looked really nasty because I just had no time to take care of the house. I was trying my best to combine work and the foundation, and so it was just too overwhelming. I knew Philip was noticing the change, but he gave me the benefit of doubt and didn't ask me any questions at first. But I knew it was only a matter of time before he started asking questions and complaining. So I decided to speak to someone at the foundation. She told me I was doing nothing wrong, and that I was only doing my best as a wife and working woman. Another woman tried to tell me I was taking things too far, but I ignored her because I felt like she was being unreasonable. One day, Philip finally decided to speak to me about my new behavior and how I was barely at the house and barely doing anything. That day, we really had a very long argument, and I could see that Philip was getting fed up with a lot of things. What I didn't just understand was why he was getting fed up in the first place. I felt like I was trying my best as a wife, even though he claimed not to see it. The fact that I was not cheating was a big contribution, right? He came up with the financial argument, just like all men do. He asked me to list what I brought to the table, and I said that the fact that I was even at the table was enough reason for him to be thankful. On the other end, he said he was providing for me, caring for me, and planning a future with me while still being busy at work. He also pointed at the fact that he cooked before I got back from the foundation sometimes, even though he was tired. Philip got so angry that he gave me an ultimatum and said if I was ready to provide for the house, then he was more than happy to stay home and take care of the house. I refused because what I asked for was equal rights, not to be his source of income. I didn't like how serious he was getting, so I decided to just let Philip do his thing, and I went on with my life. Things were moving well, my work at the office was all right, I was able to find a balance. I began to invest more in myself. I was able to make myself happy without thinking of any other person. I concentrated on myself. I knew deep down that the reason I took a break was because I didn't want Philip to divorce me. I could tell that he was getting fed up, and that his tolerance for my actions was low. I didn't want to lose the marriage I spent years praying for, so I had to tone down a little bit. I just wanted to live the princess lifestyle without doing so much housework and stress. I needed Philly to see things from my point of view. I thought that by toning things down and pretending to finally agree with him for some time, I could get him to forget about the things I've done and extinguish any thought of divorce from him. But I was absolutely wrong. He came to me to speak about a topic I never ever wanted to speak about. On a Saturday morning after we had breakfast that he ordered. By the way, he asked to speak to me, and I agreed. I can vividly remember that the first thing he said was, "I feel like we should start talking about kids now." I just need to say that those words absolutely traumatized me. Kids? I didn't want kids. I wasn't ready for kids. No part of me had ever thought about having children until he said it. I love my body, and I do not want kids, at least not yet. So, you need to imagine the level of shock I felt when he brought that topic up. To be honest, he had told me he wanted kids before we got married, and I didn't say no. I just said anything at that point because I wanted to marry him at all costs. But after 5 years of being together, I just realized that having children was not in my cards. I had insecurities and several reasons, so I told him no. Philip felt like I gaslighted him because he had asked me before proposing, and I didn't refuse. He told me he was not going to let me use him like that, and that he was not going to put down his life goals and live an unsatisfied life just because I woke up one morning and decided to interpret feminism the way I liked. After he told me that, he left the house. I was honestly hurt with the way things had turned out, so I decided to lay low for some time and not do or say anything to rattle him up. But something crazy happened at the foundation one day that led me to break my promise not to rattle him up. Other members of the foundation had few of their husbands donating to the foundation. Some of them donated themselves because their husbands were not in support of what the foundation stands for and what their movement was all about. The other women started to ask me to donate to the feminist movement too, since I had been a member for long enough. I didn't want to be left out, so I decided to donate. But I didn't want to use my own money. I wanted Philip to donate himself. So I decided to make a plan. I wanted Philip and I to go see a therapist, iron our issues out, and then I'd ask him to donate right after. It was obvious that we were headed for divorce and that nothing was working in our marriage. I liked the idea because after much discussion with women who were like-minded at the foundation, they told me that it was best for us to see a therapist. To my dismay, the therapist was a very biased person. She made it seem like I was the one at fault in all our sessions, and claimed that if I was really looking for equality, then he had to stop funding everything, and that we had to go 50-50. That made me angry, because I thought seeing a therapist would vindicate me and not make me the bad guy. As a result of the therapist's judgment, Philip got more adamant and claimed that I was trying to end our marriage because I was being influenced by people. He also made it clear that my behavior would lead us to getting a divorce sooner or later. I couldn't believe what was going on, and it felt like my life was literally crumbling right before my eyes. I had to think fast and ask him to donate because my friend was pressuring me, and I was getting embarrassed of being the only member not to donate. I waited for months, so Philip and I would be on good terms before I finally asked him to donate to the feminist movements. The last thing I expected was for Philip to get angry and go off on me in such a way that he told me I was the worst decision he had ever made in his life. He also swore never to let a dime of his hard-earned money go to the same foundation that was influencing me to ruin our marriage. I thought it was just his usual tantrums. But 6 weeks later, he gave me divorce papers and sent me out of the house. As I write this now, we're basically heading for divorce. It all feels like a dream, and I cannot believe that all these happened to me. I thought I was doing the right thing, but now the man I basically lied to marry wants to divorce me. I don't know what to do, and I urgently need help because I'm honestly going crazy right now. I do not want to lose this marriage because it will break me. Update. Hello, it's been over a year already, and I cannot believe it. I never planned to have a second update or even take so long to eventually update. When I decided to update, life hit me so hard that I had to change my mind. I guess this is my own way of healing in a way. Oh, and I really need to address the comments because you all have literally sliced my character. I prayed and hoped that I would be understood, but it seems like everyone is just calling me delusional and brainwashed. Some even went as far as saying I am a disgrace to feminism and what it stands for. I've been through a lot, and these weren't what I was expecting. I just wanted equality and the right to make decisions whenever I liked, but it seems like I had been gaslighting myself. You might want to ask what has been going on in my life all this while. I got divorced eventually because Philip refused to take me back. I told him I'd change, but he told me he was done with me and wanted nothing to do with a selfish narcissist who hid under the camouflage of femininity. I cannot believe he said that because those words haunt me till this day. Well, after the divorce, I lost my job at the company because the divorce had taken a toll on me. And I went from not giving my best at work to missing work. I was given an ultimatum, but I still couldn't get back on my feet and work effectively, so I was sacked. I have been looking for a job ever since, but I haven't seen any. My life has been turned upside down due to one mistake of mine. Imagine being broke and divorced. I hate my life. I wish I never met those people and became a feminist. I wish I was not influenced because otherwise I would be living the life of my dreams.